We've been talking this past month about sila, about virtue, about non-harm and goodwill. And so here I was this morning, early in the morning. I was really tired, and I made a cup of coffee for myself. And I had this cup sitting right in front of me. And I started to smile. I thought immediately of Bill telling the story of how he always wants to have a little coffee cup holder right next to his cushion. And how, this cup of coffee is a drug. It's caffeine. Caffeine is a strong drug. I assure you, I know. And I really thought about this. Like when I got up this morning, I thought about what I needed to kind of help me wake up and stay awake. And it was indeed coffee, not green tea, but coffee, the real thing. And so I've really grown to have this sort of intimate conversation with this particular intoxicant, caffeine. Anything that can cloud the mind or lead to heedlessness will do that, right? Caffeine, if I have too much, it kind of puts me on the ceiling, right? And if I have just the right amount, it actually deeply supports my staying awake. And it deeply supports clarity. So there's a learning, like in this world, there's nothing that is black and white. We live in a gray zone, and we're trying to make decisions about what is skillful and what is unskillful based upon how it feels. And we are bound to make mistakes, and we are bound to, by force of habit, kind of give into our little vices, whatever they may be. And one of the things that I really love about the Buddha's teachings is it's not about shaming ourselves or shaming other people. It's not about wagging our finger and saying, bad girl, which is truly how I was raised. It's not about that, but it's about having the courage and the interest to kind of look and notice where we kind of fall down, or where we lapse, or where we get a little casual in our attention. Then it causes us to maybe move a little more into the harmful zone, harmful toward ourselves or harmful toward other people. Or maybe that we're, more casual in our attention, and it causes our behavior to be more heedless, careless, right? Or it causes our heart to be a little bit cooler, a little calmer, a little more, closed off and not caring. And so we don't mind saying the sharp words because we really can't feel it until we do, and we recognize that the knife went through us before it ever hit the other person, right? It's learning to feel that, learning to feel when we are doing things or about to do things or have done things that prick us, that say, oh, that doesn't feel so good. That's the harm of unskillfulness. Oh, that doesn't feel so good. It hurts our heart. It hurts our bodies, and we want to feel that, because let that register, because that is a little mindfulness bell that says, oh, no, darling, over in this direction. Come on over here. Come on over to goodwill and non-harm. Orient there. What do you need to do to orient there? That's the name of the game. That's the name of the game with practice, is that we're moving from being a little careless, causing a little trouble to ourselves or others, and slowly orienting toward non-harm and goodwill. It's not a light switch. It's gradual. So we don't want to give ourselves a hard time, but we so want to notice for ourselves when we kind of slip up, or notice for ourselves when we are having an intoxicant, that we have a conversation with it. If I know that I am drinking caffeine, which can jazz me up, which can cause me to kind of be careless, little, even the body gets a little agitated, and you more easily break things or cut yourself, right? Out of carelessness. So learning how to be in conversation is learning to train the heart to have this, is this is this causing me harm, or what is this doing for me? What is this actually doing for me? Oh, it actually does help me stay awake. It does help my mind get a little sharper, but I want to feel for where that's the right amount. Moderation. That's the hardest thing for us. We generally swing from pole to pole. It's abstinence or it's total indulgence. It's one or the other. And how do we begin to kind of slowly bring the pendulum a little bit more into moderation with all of these things, like slowly orient the boat toward non-harm and goodwill, toward ourselves, toward others, towards ourselves. And what I think is so beautiful about these teachings with Sila, and when the Buddha discussed or kind of encouraged the precepts, he encouraged them because he saw for himself how they cause suffering. When he killed another creature, whether it was, maybe it was a spider, maybe it was an ant, this past month we had to kill what's called a bullet ant, and I had to, 3 times I had to really step on this thing. Each time it came back to life. But I had to be very deliberate about the action that I was taking. And it pained me. I was aware that I was going to kill this thing, and it was intentional because its sting is not so good. It actually causes a lot of harm for me. So with that kind of awareness, I could also bring compassion to the situation for the ant and for myself. And out of that awareness of having to take a life, and the awareness of doing that and trying to do it from a place of non-harm and goodwill, I am orienting the heart, training the heart towards safety and non-harm. I am training the heart toward goodwill. So it's not black and white, right? We can't live with all creatures, right? But we learn how to be careful with that and be very respectful of life. That's the first one. The second one is, this idea of not taking what isn't given or taking more than is necessary. That's an easy one. I grew up with the saying, finders, keepers, losers, weepers. Now think about that. Now, how awful that is, right? Just take something that isn't there. But you know what? All of us have done it. All of us have done it. We're all in the same boat. That's what Buddha's saying. All of us are in the same boat. I've taken pens from the office before. Sure, I have. I've copied things from the fax machine that were personal. Sure, I have. But with that awareness now, I can, notice that. Right. And each time I give that pause and I say, nope, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. Well, what I'm doing is I am developing the heart quality of trust. One can trust that I'm not going to take their stuff. Right? What a beautiful quality to really offer trust into the world. The third precept is not misusing the body, sexually or otherwise. I think of overindulgence as like if we overindulge in sugars, for example, be mindful. Sugar is a poison. Don't trust me. Look it up. Right? So the learning how to moderate that is learning to not abuse the body, this body or someone else's. And when I offer that, what I'm offering into the world then is respect. Deep respect for another living being, and deep respect for this body that's getting me through this life. The fourth one is wrong speech. And, again, malicious, false, gossiping, idle speech. It's the kind of speech that gets us into trouble. And we know what it's like when we've said something that we didn't mean. We said something in anger, and we know what that's like and what the backlash of that is. And when we feel that is when we can really recognize that and own that and orient as best as we can toward non-harm and goodwill, and try to, can I have a do-over with you, please? Can I have a do-over with you? When we do that, Well, again, what are we in training? Well, we're in training the heart toward honesty and integrity. Oh my goodness. The world needs that right now. And the last one that Bill spoke about on Monday, and my coffee cup example, is intoxicants. What's your pleasure? Yeah, some people might, reach for the pint of ice cream. Other people might reach for the glass of wine. Other people might reach for the coffee. What is your vice? What is that thing that kind of intoxicates you, that seduces you in? Can you notice that seduction? Notice when you can maybe begin to slowly back out of that habit because you recognize that it's causing harm here. And you recognize that it might be causing harm out there by being unskillful in some way. And when we recognize that, when we do that, what are we growing in the heart? Well, we're growing clarity and moderation. And these are important skills that we want the heart to develop, in that umbrella of non-harm and goodwill. They're little moves that we make as we exchange with other people and ourselves all day long. Can we speak to ourselves nicely? Can we speak to other people nicely? Can we move through the world with some care, as if everything that you're doing matters for your well-being? Right? Can we move through the world with respect in here and out there? Well, these are beautiful qualities to be cultivating. And so, the degree to which you can remember them, if we were in a monastery, just to share this with you, if we were in a monastery, we would recite the precepts every day. The monks do that, and the nuns do that because they recognize the propensity for humans to forget. So the constant remembering is really helpful. Repetition is really helpful. That's why I like to use the Post-it notes, folks. Like I have little tricks for trying to help me remember these things. So whatever works for you and however you can, begin to notice these things. Notice when unskillfulness arises, what it feels like. Try to orient toward coming out of that and coming toward non-harm and goodwill. This is what the whole of the practice is in training. Okay. All right. And we won't leave any of this behind. We've talked about generosity, and this month, we've talked about sila or virtue. And we're going to keep bringing them along throughout the whole year in our practice.